This podcast is being brought to you by LegalYogi.com.
I'm here with Attorney Jennifer Milne of South Florida Legal Rescue. Jennifer, hello. Thank you for being here.
I'm so happy you invited me, Christy. How are you today?
Oh, good. And I would imagine that, your judges tend to be a little bit more conservative. I don't want to sound biased myself, but I don't expect to see a 25-year-old judge. I expect to see someone that looks like a grandpa that may have more conservative values than maybe someone, maybe I'm sounding biased, but, to have the legislation there sounds like it's helpful rather than depending on the personality of your judge, whoever you may get for a judge.
I've only practiced in Palm Beach County, and I got to tell you, Florida, I got to tell you that, honestly, Florida's pretty good about the 50-50, but if you go somewhere where there are more traditional values and about women, and it's just, I'm not comfortable with that standard, with the best interest of the child standard, because it's a really hard standard for a man to overcome. It really is, and it's unfortunate, but I think states are going to move towards the 50-50 timeshare. I'm hoping. There's a lot of things that are kind of brewing across the country, and there's more awareness of fathers' rights and parental rights, fathers' rights. So I am hopeful that states will move towards a rebuttable presumption of a 50-50 timeshare.
Yeah, that actually, it seems more, it seems logical. Now,
Yeah.
if you're a dad and you're an unmarried father of a child, do you have to prove paternity?
In Florida, you do. In Florida, unless you actually have a determination of paternity, you basically don't have any rights. There are a couple ways that you can have that determination of paternity. A mother can stipulate to paternity. You can get a blood test, or no one ever does this actually. It's called the putative father registry, and if you know that the person you're with is pregnant and you guys aren't married, I highly recommend you go and you register with the putative father registry, because it gives notice that, hey, I think I'm the father of this child. And if you don't have, your rights established as a father, it can be really, really, really scary. I mean, I have one person right now who he wasn't aware that the woman he was seeing got pregnant, and she left, and then he was served with court papers. She was looking for child support. But in the meantime, he didn't know that she had given birth and was raising his daughter. And the mother, had neglected the child. The child ended up in the ER 3 times over the course of under 18 months for malnutrition. The child actually went into cardiac arrest because the mother wasn't feeding her. And when she filed for child support, DCF found out that, hey, there might be a dad in the picture, and they contacted him. And he called me, and I said, you've got to get those rights established, because DCF might take the child away. And you need to have legal standing to say, hey, I'd like the child to come with me. So you don't want to be in a situation where suddenly it's a race against the clock, and, you hope that this woman doesn't do anything where DCF is going to take the child and put it in foster care.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. So now if you are aware of the child and you simply sign the birth certificate, is that enough?
No, you have to file. You still have to file for paternity.
Okay.
You have to file for paternity, or ask the person to stipulate to paternity, the mother of the child.
So that sounds like a really good tip for dads out there, is to prove paternity. Know that ahead of time.
Well, here's the thing. I have friends, and there are people I know who are not attorneys, and you talk to them and say, yeah, I just had a baby with my girlfriend, or my grandson just had a baby with his girlfriend, and they're so in love. And I'll just sit there, and I'll say to them, I'll just say, okay, well, you should probably get a stipulation of paternity or an affidavit of paternity or something, And they always say, oh, no, they're so in love.
Right.
And that is a huge, huge mistake. It is a huge mistake because when things go just a little bit sour, that's the time to say, hey, will you stipulate to paternity, or can we do ask for paternity?
Yeah, they tend to withhold that. Yeah, they don't want to give access to the child for a blood test, or they make it a lot more difficult because they feel like they're somehow hedging their bet somehow. So that does make a lot of sense. I wanted to talk.
I mean, even if you're in a really good relationship, do it while you guys are getting along. Do it while she'll get in the car with you and, go take care of this. Don't do it where you have to have the sheriff serve papers on her.
Right.
You don't want to do that.
Right. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the statistics of households, fatherless households, and maybe you could share some of that. I have here that 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes, and that's from the U.S. Department of Health. That's the 5 times.
These statistics are really, really sobering. When you have something, and it's called parental alienation, where one parent, and it tends to be the mother, but I have seen it from the father, where they take the child and it's brainwashing the child not to love the father, and the child becomes this pawn in this divorce or in this breakup, and it's so damaging to the child's psyche. And kids who go through this kind of alienation, they end up with things like depression, drug abuse, and at this really scary end of the spectrum, they end up, even ending up with suicide. So these custody battles can be super, super damaging, where dads are important. Dads need to be involved in their kids' lives. Dads need to be recognized as an important part of their children's lives. I mean, there are other statistics. I mean, 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. That's 32 times the average. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. And, I mean, it just gets really, really scary. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. Their self-esteem is so, so low. They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes at least a mom and a dad. Absent exceptional circumstances, a child deserves to have both parents, because two parents that love a kid, it's way better than just one parent that loves the kid. Kids are a handful. Don't make your kid a pawn in your divorce or in your breakup, because they deserve better.
Well, I do want to thank you very much for your time today.
You're very welcome, Christy. Always a pleasure.
And that will conclude our show.
This podcast was brought to you by LegalYogi.com, providing hundreds of free legal consultations every day since 1999. Our database contains over 160,000 legal and financial professionals, and our phone line is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you would like a free legal consultation, you can call 1-800-397-1755 from any state in the U.S., and we'll be happy to provide you with a free legal consultation. Our web address and phone number are on the podcast image for your convenience, or you can simply go to LegalYogi.com. That is LegalYogi.com.